Hi, welcome back to my channel. So this is Leadership and Social Change Reflection 6, and we're going to go right into the questions. So for question 1, I wanted to connect the interpersonal leadership skills to the group values, which is a component of the social change model. And I wanted to connect them because I feel like in order to strengthen your group values and in order to kind of like play off of those values, you need to have like some kind of like interpersonal skills. So when it comes to like having social perception and like having insight and awareness of like the group around you and the people you're working with, showing emotional intelligence, knowing your emotions and being aware of your emotions and knowing when to act in a certain way based on your emotions, whether you should or you shouldn't act, and like being able to read other people's feelings and emotions when certain actions are run through, and being able to manage interpersonal conflict, whether that's you being in conflict with someone else or two people being in conflict within your group, knowing how to deal with that and how to come to a resolution. I feel like all of those interpersonal skills are needed in order to have collaboration, to have controversy with civility and a common purpose, which are all group values. Especially when it comes to like controversy with civility, like being able to handle interpersonal conflict. Like you can have conflicts in beliefs, you can have conflicts in like how you want a decision to go, and being civil about that conflict and that controversy. That's like an interpersonal skill, like being able to manage that, and like being able to collaborate, like being socially perceptive, knowing how to talk to people, how to work with people, and having emotional intelligence, being able to read how they feel and understand how they feel, will be able to increase collaboration and like the trust within a group. So, yeah. So for question 2, I don't necessarily agree that you need to have technical skills in order to be a great leader, and in order to be successful, because I feel that like in certain circumstances, the followers can have that technical competency, and the leader doesn't need to have that competency in order for that group to be successful. So the leader can have the skills to bring people together and like have them work really hard and like inspire them to work, and like kind of like be able to like manage resources, manage people, and things like that, administrative skills. But I feel that a leader not having technical competence and like being able to manage resources and people within a certain group when you're working on a certain topic, I feel, or a certain project or like some solution, I feel that the leader doesn't necessarily need to have the technical competence as long as the followers have that technical competence. So the leader will be able to kind of like band the followers together to collaborate and kind of be like the glue that brings everyone together. But I feel like if the followers know what they're doing, the followers can kind of take care of the more specifics. The leader just kind of like is the guy who can bring everyone together, as I keep saying, bring everyone together and have them collaborate instead of like, and like fitting all the puzzle pieces together. So just kind of like bringing all the technical competence together, that doesn't mean that you need to have technical competence yourself, if that makes sense. And that would also be able to cause for a group to be successful. So you can be like a super inspiring person and not really know what you're talking about, but you can know how to bring people together and manage them and manage resources in order to bring technical competencies together and use the technical competencies of followers to solve certain problems. So yeah. So for question excuse me. So for question 3, excuse me again, I feel that kinds of phenomena where thin slicing doesn't really work is probably when you aren't having like a personal conversation with someone, as it, well, not a personal conversation, but when like you're not with that person like in person, like emailing, texting, even on the phone sometimes. Like I feel like thin slicing depends a lot on like social cues and like the expressions, emotions, feelings, and like that you can read from other people and like with the tones in their voices. I feel like we do a lot of like thin slicing when it comes to when we're thin slicing, we're kind of trying to read a person and trying to figure out how they're feeling, based on what facial expressions they're making, how they're talking, how they're reacting to certain events or actions. And when it comes to texting and emailing, you don't get to see that person, facial expressions. You can misread a tone because there isn't an actual speaker talking to you, you're reading. So it can be like if you try to thin slice a text message or an email, it could be interpreted wrong, and you could kind of thin slice incorrectly because you don't have social cues to guide you on like how someone may be feeling or how people may be feeling in certain interactions. And even with talking on the phone, like you can't see the person's face, so you can't necessarily 100% be sure how they're reacting to what you're saying, and you can't be 100% sure that what they're saying is aligned with a certain emotion because you can't see their face. And if you can't tell if their tone of voice matches their facial expression, which can get to be kind of misleading sometimes. So yeah, question 3. So for question 4, I feel that first, I didn't even really think about pro building and like how we need to rebuild social communities and like social relationships among our communities, so that our communities kind of look out for each other during times of like disaster, or like when something bad happens, like the community is able to come together and like support each other instead of like having everyone live alone and kind of fend for themselves. I feel that now that I've read about it, I feel that pro building and rebuilding both kind of go hand in hand. I feel, or they don't go hand in hand, but they both are equally important. And I feel that for the role for like social networks and relationships, like what they play in climate-proofing cities, I feel like, when it comes to promoting an idea such as climate proofing, this idea needs to be able to flourish and thrive so that it's accepted by society, and society will have a mindset to act on it and actually do climate proofing in the cities. So I feel like in order for that to happen, this idea of climate proofing, needs to, spread among social networks and among relationships, and it's through these networks and relationships that ideas are able to be spread in order to climate proof cities. And it doesn't even have to be about climate proofing, it can just be about like improving communities, cities, and like societies for the better. Like these ideas only thrive through social networks and relationships, and by the people. So I feel that like pro building and having a strong community helps to make stronger cities, and like for climate proofing cities, stronger climate proof cities, I guess. So for question 5, I feel that the Dancing Man video connects to or relates to leadership skills. I guess I'll just go through all 3. So when it comes to the administrative skills, the man, like, he had technical confidence in the sense that like he was dancing and he like knew what he was doing for dancing. And like when people started joining, he was like managing people, and like especially with like the first follower, he was like, oh, I need to like manage this person, and managing in the sense of like teaching his follower how to dance. And then that turned into him like teaching others who were beginning to become followers, and then like the whole thing spread as what happened in the video. So when it comes to the interpersonal skills, the dancer, he kind of had to be socially perceptive in the sense that he needed to be like, okay, like I'm dancing in this crowd, do I feel comfortable doing this? Is this socially acceptable? Or if it's not socially acceptable, is it something that I want to do, and whether it's socially acceptable or not? And am I confident enough to do that myself? And I guess like doing that also shows emotional intelligence, like how I feel, like acknowledging how the man acknowledges how he feels with the action that he's doing, and judging himself by how he feels, he'll continue doing that action or not do that action. And when it comes to like conceptual, I guess like this man, I don't know, like he seemed like he was being pretty creative in like dancing and acting like no one was watching, and he was like really brave. So I guess that's kind of like he was creating, I guess the vision he had was just a happy time, I guess, and like being able to share that with others was probably be like a plus of the vision that he created for himself. He was able to spread that joy, if that makes sense. So he did use like some aspects of the 3 leadership skills. So that's it for all the questions. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I think this is the last one, so peace out. Crazy that we're on the 6th one, and I can't believe the semester's almost over, but thank you so much, and I'm out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, so